All right, hope everybody had a good Saturday. For those of you that cover us and had a day off, hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you that were at other games, hope that went well. Also, just following back up from our game against South Carolina State, thought we did a lot of things well. Partially blocked 2 punts, I guess is what it was, and had an explosive punt return for 30 yards there towards the end of the game. Defensively, 7 3-and-outs, forced 3 turnovers. Offensively, ran the ball 6 yards per carry, didn't give up any sacks. Anytime that we answered scores with scores, so we always responded. Played well in the red zone and thought we did a good job on the perimeter as well. So a lot to build on, a lot to correct for sure, but overall pleased with the night. Really proud of our guys, again, like I told you after the game, how they handled the short week and a quick turnaround. Offensively, our player of the game was Spencer Rattler. Played great, managed the offense well, took shots downfield, checked the play a couple times, got us into the right play on more than one occasion. Really proud. He's gotten better the last couple of weeks. Really proud of him. Defensively, it was Sherrod Green making a lot of plays for us, had the interception, and good to see him back playing fast and physical. And then special teams-wise, it was Tonka Hemingway, Nate Atkins, and Devo Williams. Those 3 guys all did nice job for us, special teams-wise. And the scouts of the week, offensive scout team, was Omega Blake. Omega came in and did a great job of simulating their number 1 and really had a nice week on the practice field and got better himself as a player. Defensively, it was DeAndre Martin, and special teams-wise, it was Jesse Sanders. Injury-wise, we're in decent shape. Just got off the practice field, rush practice, Spalding practiced, Huntley was out there, so feel like we'll be in as good a shape as we can be, or as we have been since game 1, going into, game 3, after we had those injuries in the Arkansas game. But, really the only one I would say was questionable right now would be Wanham and Trey Jones, but we're still optimistic that they'll be able to do something Saturday in Lexington. Will be a big challenge for us. Excited about the opportunity to go back on the road and need a great week of practice. Got a head start on Kentucky from a prep standpoint as coaches on Friday, and players had the weekend off. They needed a break mentally and physically. Everybody got back in here this afternoon and in good spirits and ready to get to work. So any questions you guys have, go ahead.
Hey, Shane, it's Dave. You mentioned this a little bit after the game, but the pass interference penalties, I know sometimes those just pop up. While you're coaching them how not to do it this week, any technique that you use, put boxing gloves on the guys? How do you approach that in practice?
Yeah, we've talked about a couple of different things. I've seen schools that have put gloves on, have made them put their hands behind their backs and all that. And we want to be physical, and we're going to get our hands on guys at the line of scrimmage. We've got defensive backs with size, and everybody in America wants big corners with length, and we have them in Cam and Darius and Sell. The biggest thing we got to do is just doing a better job of technique at the line of scrimmage and coaching up technique and not getting our hands outside on guys around their shoulder pads at the line of scrimmage, and that's what's gotten us in trouble a little bit, the last couple of weeks, either at the line or Cam had one the other night where he, hooked the guy on his waist, running downfield and things like that. So I think the biggest thing is just better technique at the line of scrimmage, and then when the ball's in the air, just, playing with confidence and staying in phase. But they'll be fine. Those guys have made way too many plays when they've been left out on an island, and it's a one-on-one shot, down the field, and they've won it and have no worries about those guys going forward.
Hey, Shane, it's Ben. I was going to ask if you had any kind of update on Greg Adkins and kind of his status or how he's doing.
I don't.
Shane, it's Colin. You mentioned seeing growth from Spencer from maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Where have you seen the most growth from him, and kind of what's next for his game as he gets back into SEC play?
He's got a good feel. I mean, he's playing with confidence right now. I mean, a lot of those throws that out on the perimeter aren't like designed balls. We're just going to throw the ball on the perimeter. It's essentially we don't have the look to run the football, and we got numbers out there on the perimeter, so he's kicking the ball out there. He's showing that he can do some things with his feet, as you guys saw the other night on a couple red zone plays. And then I think just the being willing to step up in the pocket. I mean, the play to Stogner was a big-time play, guys. Go back and watch the tape. His first and second read is over there to the right, and he looks to the right. First read isn't there. Second read isn't there. He steps up in the pocket and then comes all the way back and essentially finds his third or fourth read on the play, Stogner on the crossing route in the end zone. Just things like that. Fired up about him, and he continues to get better, and excited to see him continue to progress over the year.
Shane, it's Colin again. I know you don't like to put all your eggs in one basket, but in terms of this Kentucky game, just how important is it for you guys to maybe show some of the you've ironed out some of these kinks that you had in the first couple games, and you kind of built on that in these non-conference games against an SEC opponent?
It's important every week. I mean, you're judged on 12 Saturdays a year, and we've won 3 of them. We didn't play well enough in 2 of them, and every single week we try and get better as a football team. So this week is the next one. It's the next opportunity for us to improve in practice and hopefully improve on Saturday night, and then after that one we'll get ready for the next one and try and continue to get better as a football team. But again, every week is a challenge, and this is the next one on the schedule.
Hey Shane, it's Ben again. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Shane. Ben Briner. 2 quick ones. First, just how much have you kind of seen from R.J. Roderick as he's sort of coming back from that injury, getting to that safety rotation? And I also had a little bit of one thing from SC State. I think it was the second play, the deep ball, one of the deep ball that got tipped up for a pick. It looked like maybe Jaheim Bell had kind of popped open behind that second level of the defense. Is that the reads taking it to the deeper receiver, that's what you want, or is that maybe one that, looking on film, you maybe want to have back?
Give me the first part again, I'm sorry. The first question.
Just R.J. Roderick.
Oh, R.J. No, I think R.J.'s done a nice job. He's he's interchangeable, where he's able to play both safety positions for us. He's been doing that. Thought he did some good things the other night against South Carolina State. He had 2 as a play early in the game, where he's coming down and is able to knock people back. And it's in regards to the safety position, being able to come down from the second level and play with some physicality and knock the pile back. A couple of them, we missed a couple gaps, and he came in there, probably not the angle that we wanted him to come at, and a couple runs, popped out of there. But I've been proud of RJ, with the way that he has played, without a doubt. He's done some good stuff for us, and will continue to. And then that play, essentially it's the exact same play that Jaheim caught later in the game over there on South Carolina State's sideline. I mean, it's an opportunity. If the shot is there, Xavier had it, and don't fault Fincher at all for throwing that, and we weren't able to come up with it. But certainly that was a play that we had in strictly for Jaheim, and we had thrown to Jaheim in practice that week on that play, and they defended it decent. I still think you could have thrown it in there to Jaheim, but it was definitely an opportunity to take a shot with Leggett as well, which got tons of confidence in Xavier Leggett also, and we'll continue to take shots with him also down the field, because I've seen him make too many of them in practice as well.
Thanks, Shane.
You're welcome.
Hey, Shane, it's other Ben. On the as far as facing Kentucky, you've been in this league a long time and seen Kentucky sort of at the bottom and the top and sort of everywhere in between. I guess just in that time, I know you haven't been working there or anything like that, but from a distance, I guess, what is it that why is this team maybe different under Mark Stoops, and what have you seen in that program and how they've maybe elevated since he's been there?
I'm trying to think. The last time I played them was 2017 when I was at Georgia, and seeing then it was a ton of like Wildcat and physical football and able to run the football and get downhill on you. Still do that as well. But now obviously they've got a fantastic quarterback and they've got, elite receivers on the outside. So to me, they've they're a challenge just because they don't beat themselves, and they're physical. And just watching that game yesterday on TV and then watching tape of them today, I mean, it's size, it's physicality. They play really hard, and if you're going to beat Kentucky, you got to go beat them, and you've got to play really, really physical, and you got to play really, really hard.
Shane, you talked about, we know the linebacker group has kind of had some questions early in the year, especially after Mo went down. But you mentioned Sherrod and Debo got game balls last weekend. What have you kind of seen from that group, especially since Mo's injury? How they progressed?
Yeah, they've done a good job. I mean, losing Mo was obviously a huge loss for us. There's no question about it. From a talent standpoint on the field, from a leadership standpoint with what Mo was doing. I mean, I know Brad and Sherrod are kind of the older guys, but Mo was somewhat the alpha of that group, and that was a big loss for us. And Mo and Brad and Sherrod have now stepped up because of it. And I like the way that Debo has played when he's come in there, and Bam Scott is continuing to get better, and Stone Blanton is continuing to get better. So I really like those guys, the way that they those young guys bring a size and a physicality to the group that we need, and they're making Brad and Sherrod better, because Brad and Sherrod aren't able to just sit there and just get complacent. I mean, these young guys are coming along and pushing them, and we need to continue to get Bam and Stone and Debo in there, and excited about Donovan Westmoreland's another young player. So I just see a group that continues to improve, and Stone's been banged up a little bit the last couple of weeks, so being able to get him healthy and whatnot will continue to help that linebacker group.
Thanks, Shane.
Shane, on Lonnie coaching the offensive line, I'm just curious kind of what he brings as a coach, and then also just logistically as far as promoting someone in interim. Is that just as simple as he just moves from an analyst to on field for now, or I guess how does that work on your guys' end?
Yeah, Lonnie has, like I said the other night, he's got experience. He's been an offensive line coach. He's got NFL experience. He's a fantastic teacher. He's got a great way about himself with the offensive line. And yes, no different than when, a couple years ago when you had, coaches and players missing games for COVID and things like that. It's just kind of next man up.
Shane, just how big of a looking at Kentucky, how big of a challenge is that pair of inside linebackers that they have in the center of the defense?
Yeah, they're really, really good. I mean, they're as good as we'll face all year. They're instinctive, they're physical, they're really, really talented. It's a really good group. They were a weapon for them last year and continue to be also. And they're good all across the board on their defense, but man, those two inside linebackers are where it starts.